As always, thank you so much for logging on today. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to share the truth with you. And I really do pray and hope that it encourages you. And I hope it brings us together too. I hope it brings us, and even though we may not ever physically meet, I hope it brings us together in the spirit. And that's what we really are. Remember what Paul wrote? He said, even though I'm absent from you in the body, I'm present with you in the spirit. And we can all have a fellowship, just like Jesus has fellowship with us. Jesus' body isn't down here with us, but his spirit's within us, and our spirits are within each other. So I hope these studies bring us closer together and make us one, even though we may have never physically met. So Galatians chapter 2, we're going to start studying out of chapter 2 today in Galatians. Paul writes, then after an interview of 14 years, I again went up to Jerusalem. This time I went with Barnabas, taking Titus along with me also. So remember, Paul was telling the Galatians, I didn't have a whole lot to do with these people back in Jerusalem. Verse 2, he says, I went because it was specifically and divinely revealed to me that I should go. And I put before them the gospel, declaring to them that which I preach among the Gentiles. However, I presented the matter privately before those of repute. For I wanted to make certain, by thus first confining my communication to this private conference, that I was not running or had not run in vain, guarding against being discredited either in what I was planning to do or I'd already done. So he meets just with a couple people. He meets with Peter and people, the elders of the church. And look what God says. God says, I divinely sent him. God told him, you go. Not because Paul really wanted to go. He says, I went because God told me to go. I was divinely inspired to go. And that probably was also to show the people back there that were looking at rules and laws and trying to have, the Old Testament and the New Testament somehow kind of mix up, that he probably sent Paul back. I believe he sent Paul back to say, guys, it's all about grace. Because Paul says, I went to tell them the gospel. And what is the gospel? It's Christ in you. You've got the very power of God dwelling in you. And same thing the gospel is for us. So he goes back and he shares with them. Look at the grace. Look at the mercy. Look at the unity we have. Remember the times when God was really using you, calling to remembrance. Remember how just your shadow would cast it, and people would be healed just because your shadow was cast on them. Bringing to remembrance just how great it is to be a Christian. Same thing the gospel does for us today. Share the gospel with each other constantly. So what do? We can realize and expect, God, you will fully use me just like you fully used Jesus. You'll use me to heal the sick, to cleanse the lepers, to raise the dead, to freely receive, to plainly show us things to come, to cause us to have life and have it abundantly so that we can give and be there for other people all of the time. Remember, our abundant life isn't about us. Our abundant life is about being for other people. That's really the joy of our existence, is my life is for you and your life is for me. And that's why we're great in the kingdom of heaven, because our Father will not allow us to be anything but servants to each other. And so Paul is going back. We're going to read where, James sends the people down. They try to cause there to be divisions. They try to cause people to get back into rules and laws. And so Paul goes and he tells them about the gospel. He tells them about peace. And he says, but all went well. Even Titus, who was with me, was not compelled, as some had anticipated, to be circumcised, although he was a Greek. Look what he's saying there. They're trying to, he says, man, if I take Titus back there, he's a Greek, they're going to try to put law on him. They're going to try to say, you got to be circumcised. See, you got to follow this rule over here. And he says, it all went well. We just preached the gospel. We just preached that it was Christ in us. And people welcomed it. And they were excited about it, because the truth always sets people free. And if God's truly called you, even if we kind of get off on and doing something wrong, God didn't stop loving us. He's not about condemning us. He's about setting us free. And sometimes he'll send a brother, share the truth with us, and it sets us free. Beware of people who never admit they're wrong. Beware of people. There's so many things in the Bible I used to read that I thought I believed, and then God took me in and showed me. I'm like, wow, I was wrong. Look for that, because we're constantly learning. We're constantly being set free. Jesus is a refiner's fire and a fuller's soap, constantly cleansing us out. And so that's, I think, what Paul was doing. He went back. And he went back because, look, they were talking about got to circumcise. If you're going to say yes to Jesus, you got to go follow the law. We do it today with the 10 Commandments. We think, well, yeah, but the 10 Commandments are still the 10 Commandments. But nobody believes and is making the Sabbath holy. I mean, how many people that are Christians are taking Friday night at sundown to Saturday night at sundown and not doing anything? That's just not what we're about. It's because the law has been done away with. We are dead to the law. We're dead to the 10 Commandments because we have such a better way. We have Christ. We have freedom. We have mercy. We have grace. He's being greater in us than anything that's in this world, which allows us to be used in ways that are so far beyond what we can ever think or pray for or dream of. That's Christ in you. And it's for all of us. It's not limited just to the pastor or the prophet or the evangelist or the apostle or the teacher. It's for each and every person who God has called. And we're set free so that Jesus can use us abundantly. So we'll stop there. I hope that helps you. But keep thinking about how great Christ is in you. And it's not about laws. It's about it's all free. It's all grace. You've got it in spite of yourself. Thanks for logging on. Have a great day.